Go ahead and call tonight's special meeting to order. Let's have the roll call.
Kessler.
Here.
Walters.
Here.
Rarden.
Here.
Ewer. Benner.
Here.
Parton. Here. Crum. Thompson.
Here.
Okay, item 1 on new business. It's A, discussion of the historic chapel move and associated fees and the liability that we have been found out that we would be under. I asked Historic to come tonight, and thank you for coming tonight so that we can truly have everyone be on the same page and good discussion about what's happened basically to the move basically that we sent out the memo. I think all of you have got the memo and read it, so I'm not going to reread the memo to you. I'm going to open it up to council to see if they've got any questions, I guess, to start with. I think the memo outlines it pretty good as to what happened when we started getting the final fees and final moving instructions and that type of thing as to what happened to us at this point. And to me, the big factor is not this $2,500 they wanted for the planning part of it, is that they said that they would take no responsibility. We would be totally responsible for any problems or anything that came up, and that they would be shutting down at least 4 substations, and anything that happens we're responsible for. So, and they've got over 6,000 customers basically, so if something happens to one of those customers, they're not taking responsibility for not having any electricity. We're going to take responsibility for that customer not having electricity. So, not knowing what those customers' needs are out there, I really can't see where we'd want to take on the liability of having someone having some type of a health issue that needs electricity, or a business needing electricity. It's the liability parts of it, I think, that we can't put the city in at this point.
I agree.
So. Mr. Kester? They're going to come get you?
Yeah,
They're coming after you.
Couldn't have just a ring, could you?
never.
Are there any alternate routes that have been checked out?
Can't take it down Kellogg. They won't allow that. And then from what looks like, the alternate routes are so far south that we would run into same type of utility problems is what it amounts to. The other thing is this church is 32 feet high. So you run into a lot of utilities at 32 feet high.
That's without the steeple.
That's without the steeple.
Wow,
Gee, Christmas.
that's tall.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and the other thing I don't think put in here, but we were going to be required to have a tree trimmer follow to trim trees. If there's any trees in the way, we've got to have one that follows all the way with a tree trimmer. That's also something we'd have to do liability-wise for any trees that may be out there too. So,
It looked like they wouldn't even give us an estimate for another 30 days or so. Or
they would do a plan. It'd take them at least 30 days to do a plan.
And they want the church off the property by the end of this month.
Yes. And what the mover was going to do anyway is he was going to move the church off of their property and stage it away from them so they could go ahead and fill in their hole. But now we don't know how long it would take to bring that, well, basically never is what they've told us at this point. That's why we've stopped the mover from doing anything too, because we'd have a church sitting out there in no man's land that can't be moved. So, I mean, so what do? Demolish it wherever the mover moves it? And I don't think he's going to want it left on his piers for a month out there somewhere. And that's only one of the utility companies. There are actually 5 utility companies that are involved, not just this 1 or 2.
What are our options?
To
Demolish it?
we don't demolish it.
Oh.
The church will demolish it.
Okay.
Our options is to cancel the contract with the mover, and I've already told the church what we're up against at this point. We never had actually a real written contract with the church. It was all verbal with them at this point. So it's true to just let them know if we're not going forward with it at this point. They have their own church members that will demolish the church themselves and get rid of it. Their long-term plan was to fill in the hole and compact it because they've got another building to build on top of it where this church was at this point.
So we're not under any kind of liability or obligation with the church or the folks in Cunningham?
No.
I mean, as much as we don't like,
No, as much as we don't like it, and we held them up for a while, being able to demolish it, no, we're not in the, and there's no contract basically here. And they knew it was going to be by the end of the month at this point. That's why we're at the end of the month and needing to do something at this point. Because if we were to let the mover go in and start working, we'll start incurring additional cost to the mover basically at this point.
So basically, we don't have much of an option of anything but to just let them demolish it. I mean, because I'm
That's-
like you, I don't think we need to put the city, I mean, as much as we would like to have it here, I don't think we need to put the liability on the city because like you said, if you got a healthcare facility or an individual or something and they've got to have electricity for, say, you know, resuscitation or whatever.
You'd think most of them would have backup generators, but we don't want to be responsible for even a backup generator going down then
Right.
because we shut their electricity off. I just think it puts the city in too much liability as to what the utility companies are saying would be our responsibility.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, with that said, I don't think we ought to not continue with the project of either finding another one or building one of the two.
I agree.
I agree.
And that's what I would like, why I want the historic here to see that the city is still committed to making sure that we get a chapel over there, whether it be a historic chapel or a new one at this point. So that's truly what I would suggest to the council, that they truly make a motion to stop the contract with the movers and continue to look for a church or build one, basically, so that we truly are committed to doing it at this point.
What about like some of the furnishings and stuff? Is that something we could, like say the benches and the pews and stuff?
Those weren't coming anyway.
Oh, they weren't? Oh, okay, I thought they were coming with it, okay.
No, the historic has been able to acquire some pews.
Oh, okay.
Are there any other mover options?
What's that?
Any other mover options?
Not that I can-
Another mover group or
No.
No,
It's really the utility company.
the utilities they're saying?
Not the.
it's the root.
Yeah, it's the root and the utility companies themselves. Yeah, it's not the mover. The mover's still gung ho, he'd have done it.
Sure.
If we could have got it underneath the utility lines.
It's kind of a side note, but about 22, 23 years ago, I had my house built and brought here and sat on site, and it was built by a company in Emporia, and that was their business. I think there's also a company in Mount Ridge, I believe, that builds homes, but with the specific intention of moving them and setting them on a foundation or basement. They intentionally build them with a low-pitched roof for this very reason, that when you have to cut a power line or go under a power line, it costs a lot of money and causes a lot of grief. And frankly, I hadn't really thought about the distance between here and Cunningham. There's a lot of lines. There are a lot of lines up and down Grand.
I think you counted the lines, didn't you, Tony?
Yeah, we drove back the route back, and there's 159 potential utility conflicts. Central County Electric Co-op visibly had the most, but there's still 4 others, plus any cable, AT&T, and Cox lines that were in the way as well. So, I mean, definitely, and this was the route that had the least amount of utility conflicts.
Well, they would have had to go south and then come around and then come up.
They were
So
going
there's
south
no
on
way.
West Street from 71st to 79th, and then up Seneca, South Main.
And if the building's 30 feet tall, it's probably going to be at least, probably 2.5 feet off the pavement, something like that.
32
So-
was on the dolly system already.
That's,
So we just need a motion then, right?
Yeah, at this point, I think we truly need a motion to cancel the contract with the mover and then truly make a commitment to Historic that we'll continue to put a historic church or look for a way to build what previously was there.
Okay, so I make a motion that we cancel this contract with the movers and with the option that we let the historic district does know that we are on board to acquire or build a new church.
second.
Okay. Motion second to cancel contract and make sure that the Historic knows that we are truly committed to building a church or acquiring one. Other discussion? Question?
Kessler,
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Rardon,
Yes.
Binner,
Yes.
Parton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
And item 2, adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. Question?
Kessler.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Rardon,
Yes.
Binner,
Yes.
Parton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
I didn't ask Historic if you had any questions, but I,
This will be a short one.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Harris,
Want me to come up here?
sir. We're already adjourned anyway.
He's not on the committee.
I'm not on the committee, I hear a lot about it. I've been up and talked to the people at that church, and is there any way we could salvage any of that? Can they cut the roof off? Can they bring up
Roof.
3 or 4 pieces?
The roof could be cut off, but now you're talking about cranes to take the roof off, put it back on. You're talking about additional trailers to move it. So, yes, the roof could have been cut off, but now you're talking about considerably amount of work and cost and so on and so forth to put this roof back on.
Then I was wondering if they're gonna demolish it, if they could save the walls, you'd save the windows, you'd at least have some, just different things to think
Yeah.
about without having.
Yeah, I'm gonna imagine what's gonna happen when they go to demolish it. There's gonna be some of their parishioners that are probably gonna say, I want that stained glass window. I want that part of it. So I imagine there will be people that will truly take different parts of it that are there. So, yeah.
The bell tower had a bell in it and everything too, so.
I don't think there was any bell in there.
Yeah, there is.
Is there one in it? Okay.
That's what he was told.
We were gonna make sure it worked when it got here, but anyway. Okay, we'll continue. We'll get one eventually. We'll do it.